Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Graham Coath with another My Music. Now, where's the guest? You say, where are they? Where are they hiding? Well, they're behind this curtain. I will let them in any minute now. But first, we're going to watch an advert so that you can all feel really good about yourself. Get a cup of tea and then be ready. Okay, so hurry up. The kettle's boiled. Just go and make the tea quickly. We'll have the advert and we'll come back in 30 seconds. Go, quick.
I need to get going, mate. I'll see you later.
And as if by magic, look at that, Emily. And
hey, great to see you. How are you?
Do you know what? I've always wanted something from 2001 to come on, and now I've got it. How at the top there? How are you both? Where are you both coming from?
California, Oakland.
Oakland, yeah.
Oakland.
Both. Oh, right. Are you literally down the street from each other?
Yeah, not far, actually.
Not that far. Pretty close. Yeah.
I'm up in Grand Lake, so you're just a short distance.
Okay. Yep. Well, what's in between? What's in between the two of you? Is there a good coffee shop in between, or a snack bar or anything like that?
Nothing. Well, we have different. Nothing exciting. Lake Merritt, maybe.
There's a cool movie theater.
There's a cool movie theater. So that's kind of a potential meeting place for you both. You can sort of hop on down to the movie theater.
Right.
Oh, there you go. Is it one of those traditional ones?
Yeah.
Real traditional one.
It's gorgeous, actually. It's all really ornate gold and columns.
Yeah. I love those.
With
don't
the
you?
organ. Yeah.
Do they show old films as well, though? That's the trick with those. You want them to actually put on older films as well.
Do they? They don't, but
they do Noir Fest.
They do a film Noir Fest, do they?
Yeah, but most of the time it's newer movies. Emily was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, Emily, obviously I've spoken to you before. Hi.
Yeah. Hi, great to see you.
A long time ago. So how did the two of you meet? How did this start to happen?
You want to take that one? Or?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry. We have a mutual friend, our friend Larry Boothroyd, bass player, awesome musician. He's in a group called Victims Family, and another Jello Biafra in Guantanamo School of Medicine. He was making a project called Specimen Box, and it's his second version of it. And essentially that's a collaborative recording project with tons of his friends. And I had sent him some music, and he sent me back a track that I had done where he had Emily sing on it. And
wow,
did
he tell you that?
I didn't know that was going to happen. No.
Oh, right, okay.
But so he sent it back to me, and I heard Emily's voice, and I was just blown away.
Wow.
And it was the pandemic, the big midst of the lockdown, and and I got in touch with Emily because I was starting to write more stuff, and we just became friends quickly, and started collaborating on more stuff. And Emily was always really encouraging to keep writing things. And it just really took off from there. Yeah.
And did you realize at the time when this all happened, did you realize how close in proximity you were to each other as well? Or did you have no idea?
Well,
not right away. Because we were working with different people, like someone from Paris.
Yeah.
It was someone from Denver. So it was like, well, who's playing what? And so Larry played with Nitrous M1 for a bit. So that's how I started to know him. So he gave me this CD of stuff, and then there was Austin's Doom song on there, and I was like, what?
But this is amazing then, right?
More of this.
Because how small is the world, right?
Right?
Yeah. So you're both in touch with this one guy.
Mhm.
You sort of throw him work. He goes to Emily. Oh, I think you should sing on this. You sing on this. You don't even know about this. Sneaky,
Now
right?
we made a record. Yeah, I know, and
You
we're
you you
friends.
you end up listening to that and going, wow, that's amazing. Let's get in touch. And then you find out, actually, this is my next door neighbor.
Right.
That's bizarre,
I
isn't it?
know. Yeah, and I think too it's really great because Austin's been a really good supportive friend. Like you talk about that support,
Mm,
that genuine support. And I think that in this day and age that's so important and it's actually very rare
right. Yeah.
for artists and just for people in general to have that kind of genuine um, care and wanting people to do better. And I think that's why this record is such a good record because Austin was able to, just because of who he is, like he leads in that way of, I trust you, come in and bring what you have to bring. It's not this kind of power dynamic that a lot of people have where they
Right.
want you to fit into their idea of who they want you to be. It's
Yeah.
show up genuinely as you are. And when people do that, really great things happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Which
it's
is
been cool.
which in a way is like how bands used to be, or
Yeah.
like or how great bands start anyway. Maybe
Mhm.
a long time ago. I mean, maybe these days it's a little bit more manufactured. With a lot of, especially with a lot of younger artists, I
Mhm.
feel that it's becoming a little bit more manufactured. Not that not in the same way as boy bands or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? But maybe people are sort of like, I need to look for this to fit into here to get this particular sound or whatever.
Mhm.
Whereas back in the day, we just started a thing because we liked hanging out with each other,
Yeah, it
right?
was fun, right?
And it was fun, and we also shared the same sort of ideology or whatever. And it was just, let's see what happens.
Mhm.
And maybe that makes some good music, I think, because
Mhm.
in a way that there's less of an expectation from everybody that you've got to do a particular thing, and that opens up creativity on everybody's part to just bring whatever they feel they want to bring. Is that something that you both felt on this, Austin?
Yeah, so there's this project was really an exercise in letting go of control. Honestly, like I didn't want to tell everybody who came in and helped on it like what to do. Like
Mm,
you need to do this. You need to play keyboards this way, or the drums have to be this way, or Emily, you have to sing about this, or blah blah blah. Like I didn't want to do that at all. I just wanted to put out compositions that I'd made, um, and allow Emily the freedom to do what she wanted. Um,
yeah,
and
even
I,
even to the point of stretching the composition itself.
well, I mean, the compositions were kind of written already. They were, I allowed my friend Doug Pearson to embellish certainly with the synthesizers and keyboards. But Emily just did such a great job, like with what I had given her. She wrote to the compositions, and it turned out great.
There you go. I guess for non-musicians that listen to these things, they probably also wonder, how much of a thing was there in the first place, if that makes sense as a question. But it might be that they sit there thinking, well, when someone says a composition, what do they mean by that? Literally note for note, have you got everything down, or was it just chords and a sort of a sketch from sort of like, here's the verse, here's a chorus, etc. Well, how much was there in a composition in the first place, if you know what I mean?
Sure. So I'm a luddite for recording technology. I'll admit that I am. Uh, it was the pandemic, right? And I play in bands, and I couldn't play in bands at the moment because everybody was scared of COVID, and um, So I just bought a Focusrite Scarlett, which is just a cheap recording input. And I started playing in GarageBand, and I would just make drum loops essentially and start writing stuff. And the composition, it would start with me either playing a guitar or a bass and jamming out verse and chorus stuff. And then I would look at that and I would record again. This time I would take notes and say like, okay, this is going to be a verse, this many times. This is a chorus. This is a bridge. And I would lay down usually a bass line and guitars and sample drums. And then pitch over to my friend Doug, who would sometimes add keyboards.
So you started off as little riffs, basically, and then you embellished that up into song ideas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we would send that to Emily, and she would write. And when all of that was ready, we went to a proper studio and recorded everything.
Yeah. How easy did you find it to write on top of what you were getting back there, Emily?
It was a bit of a challenge at first because there was a lot of space in the songs.
Right.
And I've always written, with Nitrous M1, it's just different when you're not writing on your own stuff. So I'm used to my style of composition.
Yeah.
So, and having violins and all of that extra voicing in there as my own. And this was great because this was the first time that it was just my voice. So I had to come in and really be a lyricist and a vocalist in that way where I didn't have any crutch to go back to hang on to, to lean on. So I think
you'd have a lot of melody there to begin with normally, in a way.
Yeah, and I think that in some way I learned a lot from this because I think in some way that covers up maybe for, I don't know, like I want to develop melody and vocal timing and all of that a lot more because I usually put all of that into the violin, and then vocals I'm just like, well, this is what I want to say, and I maybe don't develop that as much as I could or experiment as much as I could. So this was good for me because I really had to lean into that and figure it out, and also just bring some form to these sections. But it was great because I had a lot of, because Austin just let me have the run of it for topics, I was able to really get into some things that I cared a lot about at that time.
Sure.
And so I had to dive deep, and it was cool. It was,
well, I know you always love to write really what things that you really, really care about. And you're quite autobiographical in that sense, in that, it's not just a story about someone else. You're bringing an element of what you really, really care about in there. In that respect, then, I mean, did you find that you were playing with your voice more as well on this?
Yeah.
In as much as things like tone and and maybe sort of character of voice.
I think so. Yeah, I think I was starting to lean into having a more aggressive voice on this album, which I've done in the last 2 years. I've gotten way more aggressive and into a distortion with my voice. And so this was like kind of coming into that. And so the songs go from this, more ethereal, and especially Pink and June, that one is it's very ethereal, and then it goes into the really heavy. So this music calls for that. So I had to get into that, and I would work in the studio with Phil Becker, the engineer that did the record, and he had the different mic setups for the aggressive tone. So it was cool. Yeah. He's like, all right.
And I think when you've got more space there as well, I think you start getting more concerned with timing and stuff as well, because it's not necessarily a case of, when you're fitting over melody as such, the timing of delivery has to fit in around the melody that's already there. But if you haven't got that, you have to be the time. You have to create that. You have to create that whole timing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I can see that both being challenging and fun at the same time.
Yeah. And I think that anything where you're growing where you're forced to grow as an artist is like that. It's a bit uncomfortable because there were lots of times where I was like, oh, this is so dorky, because I'm such a dork. Like, I'm such a classical dork, and I have to really work to not be like, don't start on the one every time, don't start on the third, just to get out of that routine of the classical, like what was just drilled into me. I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to really work to get out of that typical treatment. So yeah, it was cool. It was good for me.
I found there's been some really interesting albums out this year where vocalists have really come to the fore in that, and I think part of it is the fact that people have had to write in this way as well in the pandemic, and maybe it's the space of file sharing and all of that aspect of it, which is I think it's made people. It's a different way of writing from when you get like 4 people in a room and you write a song, and then you've structured a melody there, and then the singer sings over the top of the melody. I think when singers have got the time to think about the space, they start to think about, okay, can I almost stutter that out? Can I draw that out? Can I fit in more words there so that it actually, actually for somebody else, it might sound easy, but actually when someone else tries to sing it, it's quite hard.
Right. That's really interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you tried singing these songs, Austin?
Well, funny enough, I mean, we are doing a record release show in a week, and we put a band together to do it. And we had a rehearsal last week.
Yeah.
And there's one track in particular where Emily has several layers of vocals, and she needs some help for backups. So I've attempted to sing some of it in practice.
And you suddenly realize how hard it is.
It's a challenge. I mean, she's written some really interesting, a very layered vocal approach, which I love. I mean, there's harmonies all over this record and different tones and inflections, and it's definitely a huge part of it.
Yeah, well, you're just going to have to buy some heels, right?
Oh, I think that's a distinct possibility there, Greg.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, in terms of, let's just talk about what this record's about. So, in terms of the themes that you are covering, can you just tell people a little bit about that?
You're asking me lyrically? Yeah. Well, yes. So this is a difficult question for me, because I always wonder how honest I'm going to be able to be. Yeah. Because I think about those last 2 years in a way that's maybe a bit different and uncomfortable, that can invite a lot of retaliation from other people, if I'm going to be really blatantly honest. So, So anyway, maybe not now, but when COVID first happened, I was really aware, just like when 9/11 happened or these other things, that maybe the government has a larger agenda. I can really feel the manipulation happening at a mass level. And I think when this happened and everyone just clamped down so hard and didn't question anything that happened, it was very painful to experience that, not only as someone I was raised by a journalist, and I was raised to question everything. And I think that doesn't mean that you know the answer to the question. It just means that I believe
you just don't want to accept what everybody else is just accepting.
No, because that's how in history you watch and you go, well, that's exactly how they got there. You watch it. Right. And then we're in this thing now, and I'm watching massive government overreach happening, massive control, massive confusion around where the virus came from, the level of vaccine passports coming down and the implications of that long term. It's really terrifying 1984 stuff. And if you mention that at all, especially in the Bay Area, your people are not friends with you anymore. People are done. They won't. So it was really maddening and it still is, to, to just be in that gaslight culture on a massive scale and go, oh man, you know, and it just shut down everything, and people didn't have income. It was just, it's been horrible. And I think that this record was a way for me to put that into words and yeah,
I mean, yeah,
talk about that. So
I think that's a very politically correct way of talking about that, Emily. And I think, you know, I think the reality is that whether you're on one side of the fence of that or the other, I think that everyone can, to some extent, understand, or should be able to understand, where you're coming from on that political agenda side of things, because we, at the moment, we're all looking at that with what's going on in the Ukraine,
yes,
with Russia,
right.
you know, and you know that now it's easy for people in America or Britain or whatever to look at that and go, well, clearly, what you know, surely the people of Russia understand what's going on in the Ukraine, right? But do they? You know, because we can see what the media in Russia are doing. You know,
There's so much propaganda, and there's such a heavy push for, you know, the cancel. I hate that term because it's very trite, but the cancel culture.
Yeah.
We've been really conditioned to just to silence people out. When I'm not in this record, or never have claimed to know, no one knows what's going on. We're not in the meetings with the people that pull the strings, so we can't know, but we can look, and you can look at the trail of evidence and go, okay, well, maybe we should have an open discussion about that. Maybe we should be able to talk about this.
Yeah.
And I mean,
sorry, Aston. Yeah.
Oh, I would just like to add, you know, that I myself am consider myself a free thinker. I don't align with any political ideology, because I think most politicians are a bunch of hookers and liars.
Although that could be seen as being a political agenda of its own, but yeah.
I don't know. The thing that I agree with and I identify with Emily is just the idea of having free thinking, and I don't really appreciate on either side of whatever the fence they call it, how you must identify this way or that way or whatever. And I believe a lot of that is division created to make us all fight each other over bullshit while we get robbed.
Yeah,
exactly. And then we don't see who's really at fault, which is not each other. So yeah,
absolutely. So what are we all killing at each other with in this world? Words? Is that what we're really killing each other with?
Right.
At the end of the day, yeah. I mean, it feels that way, doesn't it? And this record seeps with that a little bit somewhere. Then it has that kind of undertone of trying to look into a place of, you know, we should be talking again a bit more about this, you know.
Yeah, there are themes of, you know, obedient. What's obedience? What is it? What's virtuous? You know, there was a tremendous amount of people feeling virtue over the last couple of years for maybe not very virtuous characteristics. So there's a song about that. There's a lot of it, you know, I talk about war on consciousness a lot. So a lot of it is about that, and just calling on a deeper, like just really trying to call on a deeper aspect of people, not even consciously, but just to invite people to come into a deeper humanity, because I think that's where we can get over the disagreement and come to commonality.
And these are themes that, to be fair, these are themes that have gone on ad infinitum for forever and a day, right? And this kind of issue in terms of communication and information, etc. I mean, you just got to look at people like Roger Waters. Roger Waters has always written about that sort of thing, has he not? I mean, what was The Wall about? What was, you know, his album Radio Chaos You know, with a song like "Who Needs Information?" Where's this information coming from? What are we being fed? You know, can we trust the source? Probably not. You know, and just, you know, he's always written songs about, you know, is there a way out of this? If there's a way out of it, we just need to get back to talking, and talking means talking and listening.
Yeah, because it's not new. There's nothing new about what's happening. I think it makes it a bit boring if it weren't so tragic and people's lives weren't at stake in many different ways.
Yeah.
But it's just, they roll out these scenarios.
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, this is the latest episode.
I know. That is one of the scary things. I mean, do you both find that one of the scary things? That, I mean, obviously, you know, how many months was it I talked to you? It was maybe almost a year ago or something like that. Yeah. But you know, in terms of things that have rolled out in that period, you know, we've had Trump, and then we've had, you know, we've had Black Lives Matter, and over here we've had Brexit, COVID.
Right.
You know, it's just, it seems to be sort of one sort of like political snowball after another that is, you know, the topic. And it's also very scary how we seem to move on from one thing to another quite quickly as well.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, we seem a bit conditioned. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a problem in the modern world? Do you think the fact that we almost forget too quickly as well?
Well, I mean, there's the 24-hour news cycle. You know, news has become like entertainment in a lot of ways. Like, it was crazy. It was last week I went to see a show in San Francisco, and we my girlfriend and I had dinner just around the corner at a spot, and they had televisions up, and on one side was CNN and on the other side was Fox News. It's just like this onslaught of shit. It's just like, I wanted them to turn it off so bad, because it's just, I think there's a book called Amusing Ourselves to Death. I remember reading it a while ago. It's kind of a predictor of these things. How our attention spans have become shorter, and a lot of this news is entertainment stuff. I think, you know, it's funny. A lot of people thought the internet was going to come, and that we would all get smarter. It's just like, I don't know, like, everybody seems to be obsessed with reality television and garbage.
Question: Have you either of you played live music since the pandemic, or is that about to happen? I mean, you said you're getting a band ready, but have you either of you actually played live?
I did for the first time in 2 years. Last month I did.
Yeah. Have you been to see other bands or any live music?
No. I went to a big metal show at the Warfield a month ago.
How was it?
The bands were rad. It was Spirit Box.
Yeah.
Well, I went to see Spirit Box and Stray from the Path. They were the openers, and then I was out of there. So the bands were great. The vibe was absolutely dead.
Really?
Yeah, I was so depressed. This was me feeling into it, but so Warfield is on 6th and Market, so it's a tough neighborhood of San Francisco anyway. But usually when you go to a show, there's like that soul quotient, that spark that you can feel in the audience, and it comes alive, you know? And you get that, you feel that. There was nothing. It was, and I hadn't been to a show like that in 2 years.
Guys, you need to come to the UK, because it's all happening.
I know.
It so is. It so is. Yeah, I've been to a few live shows. And I have to say, it's just, everybody is so ready for it, and everybody is so, absolutely. Did you see
Royal Blood recently? They had a few shows. Did you go?
I didn't know. We went. The last show I went to was someone you probably wouldn't want to go see, but I went to see Shed 7
No, I don't
with
even know.
with a band that an up and coming band called Lottery Winners, which was brilliant, up in Bristol. And I tell you what, the atmosphere, the want from the crowd to really just let go and just embrace it all was absolutely fantastic.
That's so great.
It's totally, you know, I mean, yeah, we're very fortunate, you know, the restrictions are here now are you know, non-existent. So
They're gone. Yeah.
yeah, so we can get out. But do you know what? People are so ready to just, you know, and yeah, there are. I do feel sorry for some people, because some people are, you know, and I've talked about this in sort of other shows, not music ones necessarily, but it's difficult because some people have now been so isolated for so long that they're actually struggling with a form of agoraphobia, which they never had before, which is understandable, right? When you've just not, you know,
Yeah.
you've been told don't go out and you don't do this and whatever, and it you know, it's some people are just now scared to go out regardless of the fact that the restrictions have gone. But from my experience, you know, people are just like, I need this, I need
Yeah.
to be people, and I have to say that, you know, the atmosphere is you can feel it from the bands as well. You can totally feel it from the bands, that, you know, you can see bands stopping, and you know where over the in the past, maybe as part of a show, a band has maybe had instrumented a part of the show where they kind of stop and just look at the audience and just, you know, have that moment of soaking it in, right? But it might have been a little bit staged in a way, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely not staged now, right? You can see bands just stopping and just feeling it and just wanting that never to ever go away again.
Yeah. Well, it's understandable, right? I mean,
yeah, right. Yeah.
This is our life. And when you are not, when you can't do it and the entire industry is shut down.
Yeah. There's my piece of advice for you. Get over to the UK, play some shows over here, and just resurrect that belief in A, humanity, and B, in live music, because it's it's marvelous. It's I've come out of those things absolutely buzzing, because I've always enjoyed live music, I've always enjoyed gigs, but it's just transcended to another level.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because you just feel that every single person in that room has just missed this so much that we just can't let go of it. So there you go. Good.
Okay.
When's the album going to be released? Because we've got a single, which I've heard, which is brilliant. I've heard the album as well, which is great. Can't wait for that to actually release. Well, when are you actually releasing the album?
April 15th, so a week from today.
Wow, brilliant! On New Music Friday, which is a good day to good day to release it as well. What are you hoping for from this? Are you hoping to what are you hoping to get a new audience for both of you? Are you hoping this could continue beyond this one album?
So
put him on the spot now. He's got to write some.
My only hope is just to get it out there and for people to enjoy it. Definitely, I think, you know, in the future, I've grown to be a good friend of Emily's from this process, and I imagine that at some point in the future we'll have a volume 2. I'm not sure when yet, but it'll happen.
It'll happen.
Yeah. Or there may be collaborations outside of this as well, or whatever, you know, because I think once you create a friendship, you create a friendship, right? That doesn't go away. Yeah.
No.
So
That's
know,
great.
yeah. Well, from what I've heard, it's absolutely brilliant. Where can people listen to it?
Bandcamp. It should.
Yeah,
It's
just don't worry with any of the other platforms because Bandcamp pays you money. All right.
Well, you can buy it. Yeah, you can buy it on Bandcamp. It's shipping worldwide.
Yeah, you go on. Do that, folks. Just buy it.
Yeah, vinyl.
Streaming. So. Yes, we have a limited vinyl release. We had 150 records pressed. But there's it'll be streaming like everywhere because that's what the kids do these days.
Right.
Well, they do, don't they? Those kids, little young whippersnappers. You know, they love to stream their stuff. But you know, everybody. I don't know whether I told you about this before, Emily, but everybody seems to be going for my T-shirt idea.
Oh, what's your T-shirt idea?
Well, I just what I tell bands to do now is you just get, you know, a front print done on the T-shirt with the band, whatever, and a nice graphic or whatever, and then on the back you go, I listen to this band on Spotify or you know whatever, but I gave them 10 quid for the T-shirt. Yeah, and you know, and then they can walk around proudly,
right?
You know, to their friends.
That's great.
Yeah, and I just want to develop a culture of youngsters really going out there, you know, telling people that it's great, stream away, do what you like, but buy the T-shirt.
Right, exactly. I think that's where bands make their money now is merch.
Well, do you know what? And then do you know what we should then do? We shouldn't have album charts. We should have T-shirt charts.
The only clothes I've bought in the last 2 years are either from the little boy section of Target or from Architects. Merch,
exactly. Architect that, right?
Merch. That's it.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Yeah, exactly that, right?
Because they launched their own thing. They're my favorite band. I absolutely love what they do and believe in them, and I want to support them.
Yeah, I know. I have bought over the pandemic. I think I've bought 20 band T-shirts.
That's great. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Well, do you know what? One of the ones that was really good was here's another idea for you as well. Marillion did one in the middle of the pandemic. They do these conventions, fan conventions every year, and in 2020 they couldn't do their fan convention. They had to cancel all of their fan conventions. So they did a couch convention.
Oh, nice.
Right. So they did the whole thing online. They even had Stephen Rothery, the guitarist, late at night did his own cocktail bar and taught us all how to make cocktails.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They had different events running throughout the day. There was the keyboard player did some 5K runs for those that wanted to get out and keep fit. So we all went out running together.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just like it was
Such
over
a community.
like. Yeah, right. And it was over a whole weekend, and it was just like event after event after event, you know. But yeah, they had a special couch convention T-shirt as well. There you go.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and in fact, I got a couch convention T-shirt and a couch convention beer mug as well. There we go.
I saw Marillion in I think I saw Marillion in 2016. I work for a Brit that's a huge fan of them. He took me along.
Yeah, it's a big. They definitely have a real fan base. Yeah,
definitely.
There you go. So I think that's the way to go. So you know, if you're going to do merch, do your merch, and just say on the website, buy this, and it says on the back, I'm listening to it on Spotify, I'm streaming it on Spotify, but I paid the band for the T-shirt.
Right.
I just think that gets the message out there, you know, that somewhere along the line someone has to pay for it.
Right.
And I think if we can get more bands doing that, the more bands that do it, it'd be brilliant. And then we could actually start a T-shirt chart, right? And obviously,
that's a great idea, Graham. Seriously,
it is, isn't it?
It is.
And seriously, think about it. If you're near the top of the chart, it just means that people are buying your T-shirt and streaming your album. So it's effectively the same thing, really.
It is, and they're in your community because charts are actually not. I mean, that whole world is very tricky.
That's all nonsense anyway, isn't it?
It's all nonsense. So what? Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Let's all do it.
I like it.
It would be great. Yeah. Well, I'm spreading the word. You know, you can take the advice or not, but there you go. From a marketing guru, I just think that's where we need to go with the world. Cool. And then you know, rather than have bands on the go, what we need to do is fight against these streaming platforms to get a bit more money. No, just let them get on with it. We'll just sell T-shirts.
Yeah.
Do you know what? We're just coin it off over here instead.
Yeah.
That's, you know, and you're artistic anyway, so you'll come up with a great T-shirt.
Design. It's so fun. Design.
Yes.
Well, Austin is an amazing graphic designer.
Really? Well, then between you two, if you can't get the T-shirt right, you know, you should be coming up with. You should get near the top of the charts with this T-shirt.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, even the cat in the background thinks it's a good idea.
Right,
guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Always is.
Yes, thank you so much.
I wish you luck with the album.
Thanks,
you won't need it. It's a great album. And you know, I'm looking forward to it being released. Guys, how many copies of the limited edition have you got?
Well, we started with 150, and right now there are about 110 left.
Okay, so if we could get rid of the other 110 by the end of the next week, that would be brilliant. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Download it, folks. Listen to it, and then go and buy the album. So you've got a limited edition album. If you've never owned a limited edition album, now's your opportunity. There we go.
Now's the time. We'll sign it for you, and we do have a show next Friday if anyone is in the Bay Area. So next Friday.
Yeah, and they're you know, Emily will sing "Happy Birthday" to you or something like that if you really must have that.
That's an extra 500.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an extra 500 quid.
No.
Yeah. No, why not? You know.
No, I'll sing you happy birthday.
Guys, thank you for joining me. I'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Graham.
Bye for now.
All right.
Cheers.
See you later.
Take care.